Good morning. Good tavach. Shavua tov. A good week to everybody. Welcome to Tanya today. Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We welcome, as we do all the time, Andrew from Springfield, New Jersey. Good tavach. Thank you. Diane from, not really from London, but now you have to remind me, visiting. June in Australia, good evening. Simcha in Florida, welcome. And also in Australia, in Melbourne, TJ. Terrence, welcome. Liba and Davida, good tavach. In New York. In New York also, Serach. Andrea in Phoenix with us, Maria in Pakistan. Oh, okay, very nice, welcome. Leah, no, we're just beginning, welcome. Anna in Budapest, good afternoon. Isha, welcome. Jan you have to remind me, forget where. And Julie in Florida is with us. Esther, welcome. Eugenia in Calgary. Agamar Chasima Teva. Deborah is in Kitchener with us. Leah in Hutchison Island in Florida. Okay, Susanna in Miami, welcome. Jan is in Tampa. Okay, Dan is in Connecticut. Katie in Texas, good morning. Dan in Virginia. Dam in Indonesia. Lily in Winnipeg. In New York we have Rogue. Pamela in Virginia. Who else is with you? Sajia. And Rena in Colorado. Irma is in New Jersey. We have on Clubhouse. We have Vilma, Marcy, Tia, Chani, Adam, Michelle, Ariella, Salina, David, Michael, Eliana, Moshe, Giovanni, and another David. We have Yenta Telebenta, we have Akoy, we have some other names I can't figure out on Instagram. Yocheved. Okay, folks. We're continuing in the 20th letter, Iyu v'chayeu chad, speaking a very lofty idea that has very practical ramifications. Understanding creation of the physical world, the materiality of the world, where it comes from, how it comes about. That gives us an appreciation that the material is not only a means to an end, but there's some end in it of itself, in the mitzvah itself, that we fulfill in the material world, which we'll discuss more later. We are talking about that this world is created, what we call in Hebrew, yesh mi'ayin, which we'll elaborate more of that concept, something from nothing, or ex nihilo, as opposed to what we are familiar with, and that is ila va'olo, cause and effect. Our world, everything is a cause and effect, and that's all we are capable of doing. We can, if you're 6'5", weighing 250 pounds, and you're running at a great velocity, and you fall, well, the cause will have a certain effect, as opposed to a little toddler just learned to walk and run, who goes not at the same velocity and isn't the same height. So they're going to fall too. But the cause and the effect will be different. That's something that we're familiar with. The ultimate, the concept of cause and effect is, well, not the ultimate, but Chassidus brings is intelligence that causes emotions. That is very human, or the way we're supposed to be truly human, in that we understand something that feeds the emotions, that the emotions should be in accordance to that which we understand. So you understand the greatness of Tanya, for example, greatness of Torah, of God. So that'll feed an emotion, that you'll have a love for Torah, for Tanya, for God, as a result. Now, of course, the more, just like in the velocity and the height and the weight of the big guy versus the toddler, the greater the cause, the greater will be the effect. So the greater the cause is, in other words, us understanding and appreciating, apprehending with our minds the greatness of Tanya, by way of example, the greater will be the effect, that we will have a stronger desire and a love for it, and the like. That is our world, cause and effect. The greater and it's a linkage. It's like a chain. So the highest point on the chain to the lowest point, there's an integral connection between them. There's an integral chain link up with them. Now, what that means is if that God created the world through cause and effect, that means the effect, creation, would be linked up with its cause, God, which would mean we would be aware, we would apprehend the reality of God instinctually, naturally, because that's what we're bound up and linked to. Right, like a little child, who is in a mall with their parent and is kind of linked up, afraid to disconnect and get lost in a big mall because it knows its source of protection, the parent, right? The mother that's going together with the child. Therefore, holds on, linked up, recognizing the source and doesn't want to be disconnected from the source. And that's what would happen. We would be in that manner. Then, of course, we would not be independent, substantial beings of our own free will. That wouldn't happen as a result. Right? So, how does God then create the world? That there should be a physical world that should recognize, be aware of its own substantial yesh of being. That I am, I exist, right? So that has to come from not cause and effect, but ayin, from nothingness. Which ultimately, why do we call it ayin? Why do we call it nothing? What do you mean? It means from God. Why are we calling God nothing? Because it's that aspect of God that is beyond us that we cannot comprehend, we cannot apprehend, and therefore we have no apprehension of it, we have no experience of it. For all intents and purposes, it's like nothing. It's literally like nothing. I mean, not literally. Yet, that's only our perspective. From God's perspective, how does He see us? He sees us, metaphorically, as we had in the second part of Tanya, like a ray of sun within the sun. Ray of sun within the sun, you don't call it a ray of sun, you call it part of the globe of the sun. It has no separateness. It has no distinctiveness. It is part of the sun. No independence at all. That's before God, how he perceives. We, though, don't perceive that way. God doesn't give us the capability to see this. We perceive God to be incomprehensible, existing completely different than how we exist. By way of metaphor, imagine take your imagine your intelligence created a rock, right? From your intelligence came a rock. What would the rock's appreciation be of your intelligence? Nothing. Why? Because there's no intelligence. There's no awareness and intelligence in the rock. So it has absolutely not an idea at all of what intelligence is. That's not part of the world of the rock. Right? I am a rock. Ooh. No. You would have no sense of your source, your creative source. It would be to you as nothing. Well, that's the metaphor for us to understand God, and he is the source of the physical world, the physicality of me. And this is the concept of why it is yesh mi'ayin, something from nothing, ex nihilo, as opposed to cause and effect. As opposed to cause and effect. This is the distinction.